Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, y'all, would you look at this? The headline says, Asian American families worry race still a hidden factor in college admissions after Supreme Court decision. Well, now what are they going to complain about? They complained about black people being in these Ivy League schools. They kept running to the Supreme Court, wanting the Supreme Court to overturn affirmative action. So the Supreme Court overturned affirmative action. Now they're still not satisfied. And you want to know why? Because they didn't go after the real culprit. They went after the low-hanging fruit, which was black students in those colleges. And the case was against Harvard and the University of North Carolina. So they were trying to say that black students were in those colleges that weren't qualified. So that was keeping the Asians from maximizing their acceptance into those colleges. So this says, Asian Americans fear race will still be a hidden factor in college admissions after the Supreme Court's landmark decision last June banning affirmative action. A coalition of Asian American students and advocates argued that Asian applicants were being racially discriminated against in the admissions process at Harvard University and University of North Carolina. The Supreme Court granted them a victory, ruling that the two schools' admission practices violated the 14th Amendment and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Okay, so the Supreme Court granted them a victory. You can't get a better victory than that. But apparently, a Supreme Court victory wasn't good enough because it says, however, Asian American immigrant parents shared that they still feel desperate and in the dark about what it takes for their children to be accepted into elite universities, fearing the court ruling won't stop universities from rejecting their applications based on race. No, they're going to reject the applications because they don't want them. That's why they're going to reject the application. Some families are even paying tens of thousands of dollars, wow, for consultants to help their families navigate the college system. These families need to be strategic when applying to avoid anti-Asian discrimination, one consultant told the LA Times. So now they're trying to buy their way into these schools. Y'all, I have to apologize for these ads. Sunny Lee, who immigrated from South Korea in 2006 and is raising 3 sons in Southern California, described mothers she knew having mental breakdowns over the stress of their high-achieving children not getting into top-tier schools. See, this is the ego of the parents. They are competing with each other, using their children as pawns. Out of all of these colleges in the United States of America, there's no reason for anybody to go crazy over their child not getting into a particular school. Lee said neighbors were hiring athletic coaches and academic consultants for kids as young as elementary school. I mean, really. A student known as a genius at San Marino High School ended up going to Pasadena City College, Lee told the Times. Moms were having a mental breakdown. California high school senior Sam Shrikant, and I know that's not right, is a second-generation American who also worries about her chances of getting into a top school despite stellar academic achievements. She holds a 4.41 GPA, is captain of her varsity swim team, and has taken the maximum number of AP classes her high school offers, despite having her admissions essays reviewed by school staff and a private counselor. She admits her expectations of getting into a top school are low. And they should be low because you're just a kid, you're just average. They're trying to make themselves, all of them are trying to make themselves way above average, above everybody else. It's understandable that they want their children to do well, but you can't overdo it. The student told the paper her hopes got a bit higher after the Supreme Court decision, but she still fears her race will be used against her because of her last name. See, these people are not being honest. There were students with all kinds of last names at these colleges and universities. I've been to college graduations in Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi. I've been to big time, predominantly white universities, small universities, and HBCUs. There are students in all of these colleges with all kinds of last names from everywhere, all over the world. So these people are not telling the truth about them being discriminated against because of their last names. Because if you look at those programs, you will see a lot of names that you can't pronounce. And you'll see a lot of different skin tones in those graduation classes. These people are making up excuses because they want to pick 1 or 2 or 3 colleges that they want to get in because their neighbor's child got in it. And if they don't get in, then they're going to call racism. They are not the only smart students in the United States. There are students in the United States, including black and white students, who have a 4.41 GPA. These people are lying. This student continues, you actually fill out the application and realize there's no way colleges won't figure out what race you are, she said. Her older sister, who had similar accomplishments, was rejected from 18 of 20 schools she applied to 5 years ago. I can't be let down if my expectations are already so low, Shrikantha told the Times. Well, there's a lot of cheating going on these tests. All of this is not raw intelligence. And these colleges are on to these students. And they are saying they're going to look for something besides test scores. These Asians are trying to rely on test scores. And these universities are saying, we want more than test scores. Because again, everybody's cheating. Conservative education activist and North Carolina congressional candidate Kenny Zhu, whatever his name is, said he still hears worries from Asian American families that colleges will ignore the Supreme Court ruling. But if they do, they should be held liable, he told Fox News Digital. Well, how you gonna hold them liable? The institutions of their choice are private institutions or they're heavily endowed institutions. They've always made up their own rules. The Supreme Court got involved because of affirmative action. Now the Supreme Court is out of it. The gloves are off, and those institutions are going to go back to doing what they've always done, which is select what students they want to admit into those colleges. And if the Asians think that they can legislate themselves around white people's trickery, I want to see it. There are 2 mistakes that were made relative to Asians and education. Number 1, they came up with these test scores to keep black students out of these white colleges and universities. That was the first thing. The second thing, America made the Asians the model minorities, and they are all so smart. And those children come to school thinking that they're supposed to be smarter than everybody else. They think they're all supposed to be in the gifted class. I worked at a middle school in Georgia, and one year I had this Asian child in my class who really wasn't that bright, but he was doing really well in math. He was burning up the math tests. Every time we got to a new skill, he was doing it. He was doing it up. He was doing the most. He was really doing well. So his father came to the school and kept pestering us about putting him in the gifted class. but nobody really saw gifted in this child. He wanted us to put him in the gifted class based on his math genius. And so we had to go and look at his test scores. Now, we look at the student academic index, which some people call the IQ, which should be 130 or between 125 and 30. And then we look at the stay 9. The highest stay 9 is 9. So if they have a 7, 8, or 9, and they have an SAI of 125 or 130, we will look at that student as a potential gifted student. Well, this student did not have 125 SAI, and his stay 9s were 3s, 4s, and 5s. That is not gifted territory. So we had to explain that to the father, which he wanted to go to the superintendent on us, because then we weren't teaching him well enough. So whenever they can't get what they want, they come up with some kind of excuse. So we told them, go ahead to the superintendent, because we have students who have an SAI of 130 and above, and they have an 8 or 9 stay 9. Your child doesn't have that, so he does not get to go in the gifted class. But they really think they're all supposed to be in the gifted class. So the end of it says, this man that we were just talking about says he's advocated for Congress to pass legislation requiring colleges to release anonymized data revealing the background and academics of their students to ensure everyone is being treated equally. There should be a policy that colleges have to reveal an anonymous data set of their students' race, GPAs, and SATs to ensure that there are no differing standards on average between the races based on who's admitted, because that is discrimination, he told Fox News Digital. And see, all of this is because America set up those test scores. These Asians are still trying to ride on test scores. One of the big problems is that college admissions are still very opaque. There is no transparency in the admissions process. College should make it very clear what their criteria are and then judge them based on the criteria. It should be your GPA, your SAT score, and your objective performance on a personal essay. There should be fewer, not more factors, because the more factors that there are, the more it opens people up for exploitation, as we've seen Zoo added. No, he just wants them to judge based on what the Asians want. And that's what the colleges have never done, and they're not going to do it. The Asians are still not satisfied because they can't control what these college boards are doing. That's the problem. America told them they were smart, and then they went to work. I'm not saying they don't work hard. They do. But Asians are not smarter than anybody else. The Africans do well too. So they're smart people in all races and all ethnic groups. They won't go after the legacies. See, that's where the problem is. Because there are a lot of legacies in those schools. Their parents went there, their grandparents went there, and even if they have a 2.5 GPA, they can still get in on legacy. If your foreparents played a sport at those schools, you can get in too. So the black kids can get in on legacy too. But the Asians won't take everything away but the test scores. So the Asians are going to continue to complain because they can't control the admissions process. They thought they had learned how to play the game. But in America, if you're not white, once you learn how to play the game, they change the rules. So they've changed the rules on the Asians, so they might as well get their ass somewhere and sit down. Okay, y'all. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.